The optics in Chinese binoculars have long since stopped being budget level, but their mechanics still remain a weak point. Hello everyone, and today we're bringing you a video review of these Bosma X Series 8x32 binoculars. To be honest, I was quite surprised by how the binoculars are packaged. Look, it comes just like this, without any bag, basically without any protection. Only in this kind of box. At first I thought, well, maybe they just forgot to include the eye cups, the covers, actually the protective covers, but then it wouldn't fit into this box. So it actually comes from China just like this, without any protection for the eyepiece lenses. Honestly, I feel a bit of déjà vu because this binocular gives me exactly the same impression as the Bosma Qinglong. First, I'll go over the specification. As I already mentioned, the binoculars have 8 times magnification and a 32mm objective lens diameter. This is a wide-angle binocular with a field of view of 8.4 degrees, or, if you convert it to meters, 145 meters per kilometer. Overall, it's quite hard to find fault with the optics here, since it has multi-coated lenses, phase-corrected prisms, is waterproof, nitrogen-filled. In other words, these binoculars have very good optical characteristics. When you look through them, it's really very comfortable for the eyes. The image might be just a bit warm, but it's nothing like what you get with Soviet binoculars. And overall, at first glance, I really liked it. The eye cups do not twist up. Everything here seems quite sturdy, in my opinion. But of course, while the optics are good, the mechanics here, to put it mildly, are just so-so. First of all, the diopter adjustment simply turns like this. There's really nothing special about it. Eye cups. The eye cups actually work quite well overall, and they have a total of 3 additional positions that you can adjust to. I can only compare it to the SV Bony 8x32, since at the moment it's the only one similar to the Bosma. Regarding the eye cups, the SV Bony has 2 additional positions, while the Bosma has 3 additional positions. In my opinion, maybe these eye cups work just a little bit better. Well, you could say that the quality of the eye cups is the same on both. They're identical on both of these. But the biggest, well, I wouldn't call it a problem, more of a disappointment with this binocular is this focus wheel. Overall, it turns pretty well. It's tight, but it has some play in it. That is, when you turn it like this, the focusing lens that's located here actually remains completely still and does not move at all. So, just so you understand, I'm turning the wheel like this, but the lens isn't moving. And only when you turn it further does it finally start to move. So that's quite a significant amount of play, and it's a pretty big drawback for a binocular like this. The price for this binocular on AliExpress is about $220, $240. The price for the SV Bon is about $120. So you could say that this binocular is $100 cheaper, or almost twice as cheap. As for the appearance, the SV Boni is just a classic. Classic and very simple. There's nothing special about it. It all depends on what you like, Now about the Bosma. The Bosma looks kind of more premium, but do you really need this orange color here? Honestly, I think it's completely unnecessary here. They could have replaced it with some kind of gray, so it wouldn't stand out so much. On the one hand, the Bosma inscription is done quite nicely, but when you use these binoculars for a long time and your hands aren't always very clean, dirt gets trapped in here. Dirt just gets into these spots, and then you'll have to clean it out. It's not nice to have binoculars with some residue stuck here. I don't know, when you go to the forest, your hands probably aren't very clean, right? So I also consider this a drawback of the design. I also want to go back to the package contents. At first glance, everything looks trendy and stylish. It's a black box. Inside there's a microfiber pouch like this. There's also a strap for the binoculars. It's also decent nice with Bosma written on it. How could they not include a bag for the binoculars? Any bag at all, even the cheapest one. No one is saying it has to be shock-proof or particularly sturdy. For example, I have a comparison of 7 binoculars. You can check out my previous videos. Those come with bags, and they're really high quality. For example, the Bushnell Forge, well, it's a Chinese binocular. But the bag it comes with is just incredible. And here, they didn't include anything at all. So you get the binocular like this, it arrives to you. And what are you supposed to do? Just put on these caps, please. You can put on these caps, but they can come off very easily. For example, you put the binoculars in your backpack, go hiking, then take the binoculars out of your backpack, and the cap might get caught on something like this, and then it just falls off in the forest and you lose it. And now you have the binoculars without a case and without a protective lens cap for the camera. This is so strange to me, honestly. I mean, why do I need this? I'd rather you give me some kind of bag. Why do I need this strap? Give me a bag for the binoculars. That should just be part of the basic kit. Binoculars, protective caps, and a case. Once you have this basic kit, you can add a strap, microfiber cloth, and so on. Well, I've said quite a lot, and a lot of it was negative about these binoculars. But believe me, the optics here are really good. So before comparing these two binoculars, let me remind you again, the Bosma costs about $220 to $240. The SV Boni SV202, the old model, is $100 to $120. This one has a wider field of view. You'll see everything now when I compare them. And we'll also weigh them, 535 grams. 490, 45 grams. I don't think that's such a significant weight that you'd really notice it in your hands. Basically, they're the same weight and the same size. They differ somewhat in price, but as for image quality, keep watching. Alright, let's take a look, but first pay close attention here. These stray rays or flares that you see in the eyepieces are present in most binoculars. Manufacturers try to minimize them as much as possible. Some manage to do this better, others worse. Even in very expensive binoculars, you might still notice this flare from time to time. In this Bosma model, the stray rays are quite noticeable, but in the SV202 binoculars, they're actually a bit more visible. Well, let's finally move on to the image. As you can see, the picture is actually quite good, with a wide-angle view. A lot of information comes into view. There is a bit of spherical aberration at the edges, which is unavoidable. And this binocular does have some chromatic aberration, though it's not very strong. But if you don't pay attention to the edges, the image in the center is really good. There are pros when it comes to the image, but cons in terms of mechanics. So it ends up being something in the middle for $200 to $220. That's quite a reasonable price. Well, now let's compare them. First, I want to talk about blackouts. Filming them is basically impossible if you want it to look realistic, because what you perceive with your eyes, you can never capture with a camera. In short, the eye cups and twists on the Bosma are made better, so you can press the binoculars closer to your eyes, and the blackouts are almost unnoticeable. On the SV Boni, they appear almost immediately. Now, regarding the main drawbacks of these binoculars, both of them have chromatic aberration, and it's basically the same in both. I can't say that one has more or less chromatic aberration than the other. As for distortion, it's more noticeable in the SV Boni. Bosma, as you can see, did a good job and corrected it so the edges, the image at the edges is hardly distorted regarding spherical aberration. Bosma has a little bit of it, but in the SV Boni it's much more noticeable. Well, to sum up everything I've said so far, and if you don't pay close attention to the play and the central focusing mechanism, Then, of course, in terms of optical performance and overall image quality, Bosma definitely and clearly beats S-Vibony in almost every single aspect that truly matters. It would be interesting to compare the S-Vibony SA205 binoculars with the Bosma, but that's impossible to do since there is no SA205 binocular with 8 by 32 specifications. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like. Thank you for watching and see you next time.